Well, hello, good evening. Today's video, we'll be installing our tile. I already got a jump on it. I'm not going to show you what I did because it's pretty cool, I think. I like it. And I just wanted to see if I could get the technique of what I wanted to do down because it's kind of complicated. I just wanted to see if it worked before I actually did everything else. Well, it did work, and we're going to be doing everything else. So I'll be showing you how to do that today. I'm going to start by doing a row of these horizontal tiles, a sheet thick row, just like that. I got to cut the bottoms of them flat so they fit in here. And it's easier to do that than to cut tiny little pieces and fit it in there. I discovered that on my front piece. So what I'm going to do is this one I got to cut the side off and the bottom off. But then I'm going to get my laser level. If you don't have a laser level, just use a normal level to draw a horizontal line all the way around to give you a good point of reference so all your tiles line up. And on each individual sheet you can see there are lines on this Schluter-Curdy board, but I didn't take too much care into actually making these lines horizontal and vertically plumb and level. And I'm not sure if this line lines up with this line, lines up with this line. I just slapped them up on there because I knew I had my laser level to help me out. So let's cut these off. I like these face shields better than the goggles I was using because the goggles kind of blur up a little bit, this thing, and it protects your neck. And when I was cutting these tiles, they tend to splatter and give you little porcelain splinters. Probably don't run into that situation with a wet saw, but I don't have a wet saw. I just have a grinder with a little tile cutting diamond head. Well, I don't even know if it's diamond head anymore. It's just a big sheet of metal or something. I don't know. But it's cutting the tiles pretty good. So my lines are not super duper straight. But when the grout's in there, it kind of hides the crimes. That's my line. That's what it looks like. Not too shabby, but could be better with a wet saw. Now, when I first started to do my front side, I had grout or mortar, and I was mortaring the tiles on there. And then when it came to cutting the tiles, it just took me a lot longer to do everything. And the time I would get to the next step that I needed the mortar on, the mortar would be dry and crackly, so I had to add more water to it, grind it up again, and then it would get little grout chunks, mortar chunks, and it would kind of smear and then just not let the tile lay down flat. All that being said, I just decided to use some silicone, some black, so in case it oozes out, my grout that is going to be covering the lines will also be black, so it would hide it a little bit better. But this, I just put it on each individual tile, stick it on, and because it is silicone, it kind of has a little flex to it, so I think this is probably a better option to put on tile in a van. And the grout I'm using is flex grout, so it has a little, I don't know what's in it, but it kind of contracts and can expand, so it's not very dense and tight and creating a whole bunch of cracks all over the place. It'll actually, you know, bend and whatever to the movement. And a little dollop for Daisy on each one of those individual tiles. May seem a little tedious to do that, but it really does not take that long. Flip it in place, and so much of that silicone creates a good kind of suction, and then that tile doesn't move. move it into position if it wasn't perfect. Where the grout has so much surface, or the mortar, my gosh, the mortar has so much surface area. When you put that tile on there, the only way to move your tile is by totally taking it off. But this silicone kind of lets you move it into the position that you like. And when I push this tile on there, it sometimes oozes out a little bit in a few places, and I'm just going to let it dry for a second, and then I can just rub it off and it just peels right off. If I rub it when it's wet, it just smears it all over the place. But around this height is when I'm going to start adding my aesthetic. And from what you may have seen from the front side and other videos that I have, is I'm adding this black strip that's going to kind of tear down around my shower. So all I did was just take a few tiles off, and I'm just going to just let it, you know, do its thing around, giving a little nice artistic little snake thing. Didn't get very far. Ran out of caulk. What I'm going to do in my corners, just overlap them, cut a straight line on them. I'm just going to put those right up against that. Just like that. And when it's all done all the way up, I'm going to put some of this actually caulk that matches the grout color. And there we go. Last little bit of tile. Tapers down from high to low. I left the edge overhanging a little bit. I'm going to let that caulk dry, and then I'm going to come in with my angle grinder and just cut off those little tips. And then do what I did over here. Put these little edges on it. Clean it up, make them look a little nicer. So after I got that down there, I figured it was a good idea to do the ceiling before I did the walls. And I was a little nervous about sticking the tile to the ceiling. I was worried about it falling down, but it's actually pretty sticky, pretty adhered to the ceiling. Same process, did little individual silicone on each end of baby tile, and it's sticking up there pretty good. So I didn't waterproof the ceiling. I didn't really think it was necessary to waterproof the ceiling. And also the tile going on there was silicone, and then grout going in the tile. It's water resistant. It's good enough, I guess. I don't imagine water ever falling upwards. And if there is water that's going to end up on the ceiling, then I'm in a sticky situation. So I'm just going to tile the rest of this with these white little hexagon tiles. And that'll be my ceiling. Just like that. That was super tedious. But it looks pretty good now. And after a little hiatus, I did the top portion of my walls. Now it doesn't matter that I did the bottom and then the top, because these aren't going to line up. I'm going to add, and ready for the reveal, some cool looking teal tiles in between. So as I was working on laying the bottom, which you saw earlier in the video, I had the idea to go ahead and order my shower door, because I imagined it would take a little time with the way shipping is now. And I was correct. So it took a couple months to get it, and I just didn't want to do anything else until I had my shower door figured out. And I'm glad I did that, because I ordered it from Stowit Industries, the Nautilus shower door, which it has some pretty decent reviews. It's very simple, easy install, and it looks clean. So but the issue I had was the height of the doors only come I think the tallest you can get is 71 inches. And my height from ceiling to floor was 75 inches. So I needed to get the door in order to accurately measure a little lip. So I got my lip installed. I just used some PVC trim board so it's waterproof. And then I caulked underneath it and around the edges just so water doesn't get in there, even though everywhere else is curtied. It's just extra sealed. I don't want any stagnant water working its way and creating any mold or anything. But I got a 2-inch by 4-inch lip, and now I can finish my tile. And I can finish filling this in at any time. So I wanted to go ahead and get my floor done, because I'm tired of looking at the floor unfinished and getting dirt all over the place and messing up my curdy floor. So by protecting that, I'm just going to add my floor tiles and get the drain in there. And just like that, I cut around my drain and cut the tiles to fit in here. And again, I'm going to caulk the edges with the caulk that matches my grout color. And that way I can seal up my edges and it'll look nice and clean. Put my drain in there. It's just a pressure fit, and I put some caulk on the underside of it just to hold it down in place. And it fits pretty good. The floor is sloped to the drain, so hopefully it'll all drain nicely. But by adding this little shower edge, this little lip, it's definitely going to keep this area watertight, and the water will stay in here, which is good. I mean, I'm glad I added this thing. And I don't know if I explained what it is, but it was 2.5 inches. I cut it down to 2 inches width, and they were 3/4 thick. So when I add the tile, or when I add my little edge plus the tile, I want to do white tile, but I just had the black. So when I add it to the top of this, it will equal 4 inches thick, the exact thickness I need to put on my Nautilus shower door.